That's exactly what you saw, folks. According to major international channels, Putin is facing a severe crisis inside the Kremlin. Powerful rivals are leading a coup to overthrow the government and end the current power cycle. I honestly don't doubt it, since many extremely powerful oligarchs were exterminated directly by Putin. Imagine the fear and hatred of those left. For that reason, the FSB urgently hunts each of them. Paranoia dominates Moscow right now. The coup is also unfolding in Latin America, as Trump gave the CIA a green light to enter Venezuela, promising to liberate the country and secure control of oil. Meanwhile, China responds economically, blocking the shipment of minerals the West needs to make everything from chips to advanced weapons. Everything seems connected: the Russian collapse, NATO on alert, tension in the Caribbean, and the trade war between the United States and China. The planet has become a web of interests where any spark could explode. No border truly belongs to its countries anymore. They belong to powers dividing the globe. Now tell me honestly, what do you think will be Vladimir Putin's final fate? A military coup, extermination, or will he rule as long as his health allows? Do you believe the rumors that his health has worsened since the pandemic? Just a reminder, this report is based on news from Sky News, The New York Times, BBC, The Guardian, Al Jazeera, Sputnik, RT News, and Telegram. But before we get into the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Your subscription means a lot and helps you stay updated on every story about the raging nations. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to help this project grow even more. The Russian Secret Service launched a manhunt. 22 people were accused of conspiring against Putin, including Mikhail Khodorkovsky, a former billionaire and fierce government critic. The Kremlin says the group is trying to bring down power from outside Russia, beyond Moscow's traditional methods. Everything revolves around the so-called Berlin Declaration, signed by opponents in 2023. The text calls for the end of the regime, the full withdrawal of troops from Ukraine, and the release of political prisoners. For Putin, it's a direct attack on his authority and, according to the FSB, an attempted armed coup. The document demands that Russia return all territories seized since 2014 and acknowledge war crimes. For the Kremlin, that's like encouraging desertions. The response was to intensify repression and target anyone who has contact with the declaration's signatories. The state machine now uses the extremism label to criminalize any opposition. Interviews, online fundraisers, or simple comments become reasons for investigation. The Kremlin tries to control even foreign conversations, saying that talking to exiles equals conspiring against the country. Putin blames the West, but the real fear is his own people. He's afraid the population will start to organize. And when power starts to fear the people, it's a sign the empire is shaking. And what comes next could change everything. Fearing an internal coup, the Kremlin speeds up purges, replaces military chiefs, and arrests allies suspected of disloyalty. Meanwhile, the economy collapses and diplomacy turns into crisis. Russia is surrounded, and anyone who thinks this will stop here may be surprised by what comes next. He compares Russia's case with South Korea and Taiwan, countries that emerged from dictatorships and became vibrant democracies. Kasparov believes Russia could also change if it let go of its obsession with imperial greatness. The problem is that, to do that, it would have to lose territory and power. For Kasparov, Russia's only chance for rebirth is defeat in the war. He says a Ukrainian victory would break Putin's system and open the door to a true civilian government. But even opponents fear saying that aloud, knowing the price will be paid in Russian lives. He insists the country must accept losing land to regain freedom. According to him, shrinking borders isn't weakness, it's survival. Putin's true enemy, Kasparov says, is his own fear of seeing Russia live without him, and that fear makes him increasingly unpredictable. Kasparov's words expose what the Kremlin tries to hide. The system is cracking from within. Arrests, desertions, and censorship show Putin's power is no longer absolute. Tension grows silently, and the atmosphere inside Russia is about to cross the point of no return. Military channels linked to the Kremlin report emergency meetings, arrests of officers, and troop movements in Moscow and St. Petersburg. There's so much distrust that even civilian ministers are being monitored. No one trusts anyone, and fear has become part of the government's routine. European analysts believe this coup paranoia helps Putin eliminate generals and businessmen who could betray him. He may be testing loyalties before launching a new offensive in Ukraine. Even diplomats and ex-military figures abroad are being investigated as potential conspirators. Russian economists say the country is collapsing, inflation is over 20%, the ruble has plummeted, and arms factories work non-stop to supply the army. Moscow tries to prevent bankruptcies with government funds, but people feel the crisis with every purchase. European analysts believe this coup paranoia helps Putin eliminate generals and businessmen who could betray him. He may be testing loyalties before launching a new offensive in Ukraine. Even diplomats and ex-military figures abroad are being investigated as potential conspirators. With the economy collapsing and allies disappearing, Putin finds himself cornered. Decisions are now made hastily, and every move feels like an act of survival. Meanwhile, as the Kremlin tries to put out fires, Ukraine launches direct retaliation, striking at the backbone of Russian industry. Ukraine increased its level of attack. Drones and missiles hit oil pipelines, cutting the flow of oil in Russian industrial areas. The Ukrainian government confirmed it was a response to recent bombings. Moscow promises unprecedented retaliation, but avoids revealing the scale of the damage. Trump said he spoke with Putin by phone and called the conversation very productive. He's expected to meet the Russian leader in Hungary to discuss the conflict, but European diplomats are on alert. They believe any gesture from Trump could weaken military support for Ukraine. Russia changes tactics, attacking at night with caliber missiles and suicide drones. Sirens never stop, and several Ukrainian cities were left in the dark. Power plants operate at the limit, and rescue teams spend hours trying to restore energy. The attack pattern shows a new strategy. Intelligence services detect a 25% increase in Russian cyber attacks against NATO countries. Power grids and military databases are frequent targets. Experts say the Kremlin is testing the alliance's defenses before expanding the conflict beyond Ukraine. Putin reacted furiously to the news that Trump plans to send Tomahawk missiles to Kyiv. He warned this could completely break relations between Russia and the United States. Europe fears this exchange of threats could turn into something much bigger, and this time, no one seems willing to back down. NATO jets took off from Norway to intercept a Russian spy plane that was getting too close to Allied airspace. The tension was so high that pilots had to make emergency maneuvers. Military officials called the incident the most dangerous since the start of the invasion of Ukraine. Russia decided to close its borders to men of military age. Lines at exit checkpoints stretched for miles as people tried to escape the draft. The Kremlin now confiscates passports and threatens prison for anyone attempting to flee. It's a clear sign of a shortage of soldiers. Zelensky is pushing for reinforcements, directly urging Trump and NATO for more air defense. He wants new Patriot missiles and modern fighter jets. Meanwhile, Russia continues bombing Kharkiv, Odessa, and Dnipro. The cities resist, but the human and energy cost is catastrophic. Finland's government says Moscow is preparing a second phase of aggression. Russian troops were seen moving near the Baltic borders. The UK sent fighter jets to strengthen air patrols, and NATO installed new radars. The fear is that one mistake could spark another front of war. Poland announced the construction of military depots and logistics centers near the borders with Russia and Belarus. The country says it wants to be ready for any scenario. With this move, Eastern Europe turns into a new battlefield, and the US response shouldn't take long. Trump promises he won't let the war between Russia and NATO get out of control. At the same time, the Pentagon sends B-52 bombers to the United Kingdom, reinforcing the nuclear alert. It's a direct message to Moscow. Any attack against an allied country will get an immediate and heavy response. In the United States, Congress is pushing for more funding for Ukraine. The new package includes Patriot missiles and Iron Dome interceptors. Experts say the Russians are firing more than the West can replace. The war has turned into a battle of stockpiles and endurance. Ukrainian drones hit ammunition depots in Belgorod and Kursk. Explosions last for hours, spreading fire for kilometers. Moscow retaliates by bombing Sumy and Chernihiv regions, calling the targets military infrastructures. No one believes that version, and panic is growing near the borders. Amid this escalation, European leaders rush to build a continental drone shield. The plan is to mass-produce weapons and share intelligence data. But if Russia responds with full force, the conflict could spread beyond Ukraine and plunge the entire continent into chaos. Amid this escalation, European leaders rush to build a continental drone shield. The plan is to mass-produce weapons and share intelligence data. But if Russia responds with full force, the conflict could spread beyond Ukraine and plunge the entire continent into chaos. Romania confirmed that Russian drones entered its airspace and crashed just a few kilometers from a NATO base. The government activated defense protocols and demanded a collective alliance response. Moscow claimed it was a navigation error, but no one believes it was an accident at a time like this. Poland shot down 2 drones coming from the direction of Kaliningrad and declared a partial state of alert. Fragments were collected by NATO teams, and military analysts say the attacks test the Allies' reaction time. Tension in Eastern Europe has never been closer to a real breaking point. Norway, Denmark, and Estonia reported serious failures in maritime radar and communication systems. The reason? Russian interference. Moscow's warships were spotted near sensitive areas, and the electronic jamming already affects civilian aircraft. The Baltic Sea has become a permanent danger zone. Amid so many incidents, the European Union launched a digital security plan combining civilian and military forces. The document provides for immediate responses to cyber attacks and GPS jamming. NATO's Secretary General said the line between digital and physical warfare has practically disappeared. Tensions are sky high. Any mistake now could turn into a direct confrontation between Russia and NATO. While Europe holds its breath, the United States returns to action in South America. A new attack reignites the crisis with Venezuela and puts the Caribbean back on alert. An American bombing of a Venezuelan boat left casualties and sparked outrage in Caracas. Victims' families say Washington attacked without evidence. Maduro called it an act of war, but the Pentagon claims the vessel was carrying weapons. The incident reignited tensions between the two countries. Trump admitted he authorized CIA operations inside Venezuela to take down criminal networks. The announcement shocked allies and increased regional tension. For the first time, the president himself confirmed secret actions, reigniting debate about how far the United States will intervene. Tension between Caracas and Washington reaches its limit. Secret operations, oil promises, and troop deployments reignite the hemispheric dispute. What comes next could involve much more than barrels and contracts. It could reshape alliances and open the door to a new global confrontation. Experts warn Trump's strategy could trigger a new migration crisis. Repression in border areas is pushing thousands of people toward Colombia and Guyana. The White House, concerned, is considering sending troops to the Caribbean to contain the flow. The American chessboard is moving again. Tension between Caracas and Washington reaches its limit. Secret operations, oil promises, and troop deployments reignite the hemispheric dispute. What comes next could involve much more than barrels and contracts. It could reshape alliances and open the door to a new global confrontation. After days of chaos, Trump changed his tone and said he doesn't want to hurt China. The retreat came after announcing 100% tariffs on Chinese products, which had shaken markets. The softer statement caused the dollar to fall and brought brief relief to global investors. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed that serious talks are underway between Washington and Beijing and that tariffs will only take effect on November 1st. China, meanwhile, maintains restrictions on exporting rare earths, minerals essential for semiconductors and modern weapons. China's Ministry of Commerce defends the measures, calling them legal and proportional. Companies now must prove what they'll use the minerals for. Experts see this as a direct response to US blockades, which cite national security to block Chinese products. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent confirmed that serious talks are underway between Washington and Beijing and that tariffs will only take effect on November 1st. China, meanwhile, maintains restrictions on exporting rare earths, minerals essential for semiconductors and modern weapons. Brazil could become a key player. Trump and Lula are discussing a partnership to explore and refine critical minerals, reducing dependence on China. If implemented, the deal could ease tariffs and shift the trade balance. The outcome of this crisis could reshape the world's power map. Political, military, and economic crises intertwine in one scenario, a world on the brink of upheaval. From Russia suffocated by paranoia to Venezuela under American pressure, powers move like chess pieces where any mistake could cost millions of lives and global balance. The war in Ukraine shows that European stability depends on the balance between diplomacy and strength. With Trump back at the center of negotiations, fears grow over impulsive decisions that could reignite conflicts. Peace feels like just a pause between two wars. In South America, the Venezuelan crisis and US advances reopen old wounds. The promise to privatize oil divides the country as the Caribbean militarizes. US bases expand, and the growing regional tension makes it clear that interference is far from over. In Asia, the dispute with China is reshaping economic power. Rare earths have become a diplomatic weapon, and Brazil emerges as an unexpected link between rivals. Every trade decision now carries strategic weight, and one mistake could turn the economic war into something far more dangerous. Finally, tell me honestly, what will be Vladimir Putin's ultimate fate? A military coup, extermination, or will he rule as long as his health allows? Do you believe the rumors that his health has worsened since the pandemic? Thanks so much for sticking around until the end of the video. You're awesome, and I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any updates on the raging nations. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up to help this project grow even more.